Hello everyone, welcome to another repair video. What I'm doing today is I am basically fixing another video I had previously on my YouTube channel. Lately I've been getting a lot of questions about repairing the Logitech rear speakers that I posted about a couple of months ago. And these speakers are known for dying a lot, and these are really good speakers. Again, these are the Z-5450 rear Wi-Fi speakers, and this I got from a client. Again, for some odd reason, I'm getting a lot of questions on these speakers. I'm getting a lot of inquiries if I can repair their speakers. So I'll set the record straight. If you want me to repair your speakers, which quite honestly, this is just basically a hobby for me. It's not, I don't do this professionally. If you want me to repair your speakers, what I charge is $80. $80, that's for both speakers, the left and right. And the repair is just basically to get rid of the actual red LED flashing. Like an example for this one, if I plug this one in, as you can see, it's got the flashing LED. It's kind of hard to see with the screen on there, but let me pop the screen off. As you can see, it's got the red flash of death. Essentially what happens, the caps basically give out. They just don't want to supply power to the speaker itself. The speaker, theoretically itself, the Wi-Fi module, the speaker itself, theoretically that is okay. It's just the power supply for these speakers. The caps on them are really cheap caps. Now, on my first video, I unplugged it by the way, so let's make sure you have them unplugged. In my first video, I was referring to the cap sizes or the cap specs that you need. I was completely wrong. I said it completely wrong. Even though I installed the right caps, I have a problem of saying numbers backwards for some odd reason. That's just, I guess, it's basically I've been doing that since I was a kid. But the caps you really do need, referring to the actual cap. I'm going to read it on the cap, that way this time I'm not making a mistake on it. It's actually, you need 2 of the 100 microfarads and 10 volt, or 100 UF if you want to call it like that. It gets confusing for me. It's either farads, microfarads. I think this is microfarads. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me down there, but I'll have it. I have the specs right over here in printed words of what you need to buy as far as caps go. You need 2 of these. Now, as basically peace of mind, I buy 1,000 microfarads and 32 volts cap. You only need 1 of these per speaker. Remember, you need 2 per speaker of the 100 microfarad 10 volt, and you need 1 per speaker of the 1,000 microfarad 35 volt. I'm going to go ahead and repair this one here, show you how it's done. Go a little slower this time. It's not that hard as you think, but if you really are scared of going in here, cracking it open and soldering stuff, don't be ashamed. I started off that way. I was really hesitant on soldering, electronics, all that kind of stuff, but there's a couple of good YouTube videos and a couple of good channels out there. I'll actually link it down in the bottom of some of the channels I look in as far as electronics go to see, because I love electronics. Electronics are cool. I may not be the smartest in electronics. Like, I know how to create my own schematic and all that stuff. No, I know how to build electronics. You know, just give me the manual. I know what to look for, and I can pretty much assemble one. Now, if you want to tackle this yourself, there's a few tools you do need. One is a good soldering iron. Solder, let's just say solder. I try to pick up the thinnest one, real thin one. I don't know if you can see it, but it's real thin. Reason why, it just makes things so much easier that the solder doesn't blob all over the place. A good wire brush, just so you can clean off the tip of the actual soldering gun. And some you electronics folks may be like, oh man, you just got a cheap. Yes, I do have a cheap soldering gun, but it's done wonders for me so far. So, Phillips screwdriver, a pick, of course, caps, and this is a really cool trick. I've heard about this on a another YouTube channel. It's basically what it is. It's braided copper wire. Now, what you're gonna say is, what does this do? What this does is, say we got any excess, when you pull the old cap out, you got some basically some blobs of solder. This will actually suck up that solder. What you do basically is get the heating iron, get the ribbon, and basically you heat it up, and what it does, the heat of the soldering iron will melt the solder into this, and that way when you pull it away, your surface is nice and clean. You have nice fresh surface for your new solder. And then of course this, all you do is just cut it with scissors, and you just go on. It's basically a small little row of braided copper wire. I wouldn't recommend using like just regular copper wire, because I don't know if that probably make a problem. But this worked out better than I anticipated. I was kind of skeptical, but it came out great. So you'll see me probably using it in this project here. Again, if you want me to repair these, I charge $80 for them. You have to pay for the shipping. I will not pay for shipping. I hate paying for shipping. You can, like this gentleman did, this client, he prepaid for his return slip. So basically, once I get all this finished up, I just throw it in the box, slap his label on there, and it'll be on its way back to his home. Always make sure, if you're going to send something to me, make sure you pack it up real nice. This guy packed it up really awesome. You did a great job, by the way, packing this thing. I did have one instance where another client brought me or shipped in a box, and it was pretty badly packed, I guess, and actually cracked one of the speakers. It was like a crack on the side here, and I told him before I even got started, I emailed them and showed him pictures that it was cracked and that I hold no responsibility. Speaking of which, when I repair these, I don't even have this system anymore. The actual Logitech Z-5450 anymore. I don't have it anymore. So there's no way to me to test these speakers out to see if they're going to power on and work. What I'm fixing is just stopping the red LED from flashing, make it a solid on red. From that, theoretically, the speaker is ready to go. Needs to be synced up to your sound system. That's it. That should be ready to go. If it doesn't sync up to your sound system, if it doesn't work, or say that you got no audio, but it's still, good blue light, because it turns blue when it's on, when it's synced up, or if it doesn't turn blue, usually you got to sync it up. There's a sync button back here. You got to press and all that kind of stuff. You got to sync it up to your sound system. If that doesn't work, then there's probably something else wrong with it. Like I said, all I'm doing right now and all I'm repairing is just to stop the red LED from flashing. Again, I don't have the sound system anymore to test these speakers out to make sure they're going to work before I send them out to you. So you just have to be aware of that. If you're going to send me your speakers, that's the clause. I will get the red LED from flashing, but if it doesn't power up, it doesn't work any further than that, then there's something else wrong. And that's something I don't know anything about. Like I said, all I'm doing is just repairing and stopping the red LED from flashing. Now, getting started, there is 4 screws, Phillips screws here, that hold this whole bezel down. You got to pull this little windscreen off. And again, at times like this one, actually the rubber boot that keeps it on there got stuck inside. That's why I say maybe you're going to get the pick, and you got to pick that thing out. Sometimes it's hard to get out, sometimes it's easy to get out, but, and see, it just came right off. Just make sure you keep them together. Don't lose them. That'll be bad. So this is for a client. Now you're going to get the 4 screws out of here, and they're not on there tight. If you have a magnetized screwdriver, that's also great. This one is magnetized, so it keeps all the screws together. And like I said, make sure you pull the plug on it. Like I said, I showed it to you. It's unplugged, but I did plug it in. You saw those flashing red. So that's, again, a common issue with these speakers. Alright, now you can't just simply pop this thing open. There is a double-sided tape from the factory that keeps this bezel in place. How do you get it off? That's always a tough issue. Some people just get a screwdriver and start prying the damn thing off. You can do that with your own speakers. Since this is for a client, I have not really a better way, but I have, I guess you could call it the better way. What I do is I get a heat gun, which is another part of your tools. I forgot to mention that. You do need a heat gun or a blow dryer, but a heat gun does a lot better. And you're going to have to heat the bezel till it's warm to the touch, and then you should be able to just open it up with your fingers, because at this moment you can't undo it. You probably break a finger or bend the fingernail. So at this point, we're going to warm it up. I got it on the first setting. There's two settings, hot and then super hot. But right now, and because right now my AC is going off right now, it's cooling the room, so it may be a little, take some time to warm this thing up. And do it in a circular pattern. Try not to stay at one spot. If you stay at one spot too long, it will melt the plastic. It'll start basically bubbling up, and that would be a bad thing. And I keep it at least about a good inch away, 2 inches away from the bezel itself. Again, you don't want to make it start bubbling over, and then you ruin the. No, you won't ruin it, but it'll just look really nasty. Get the corners real well. The corners are usually the hardest part. Again, since my room, of course, has AC in it, I'm going to have to give it a little more time for the heat to penetrate into the double-sided tape. I think that should be more than enough. Set this on the floor. Don't want to melt my desk. It feels nice and warm. It should be just with your fingers. Look at that. Peels right up. Don't do this. Don't try to get your fingers in there with the bezel cold, because again, you'll probably break a fingernail or even bend a fingernail, and that hurts like a mother. So now it's all loose. You can see that double-sided tape in there. Now, see the speaker, you got the Wi-Fi board, and you got your power. This is your power supply board right here where my thumb is at. Your Wi-Fi is right in the center. Probably can't see it because, well, stuff, but I'll get a flashlight here. There's electronics in there. So you got your Wi-Fi board right in the center where my thumb's at. You got your power supply right here, and the speaker itself. Now, on this, you may have to remove the Wi-Fi board in order to make some room to get the power supply board out, because the power supply board only comes out so much. Let's see what we can do in this one here. Oh, it didn't shock me. It just really sharp edges here. Sorry, it didn't shock me or anything. It just, see, that's pretty much how she comes out. Yes, it can be a pain in the butt to get it done, because your caps are all in the bottom over there. And then, of course, the other one is just further up. But that being said, trying to find again, you just gotta look in here, take it easy, see what you gotta remove in order to get some of the cabling out. So you can probably pull just enough. It looks like in this case, the Wi-Fi board can stay in place. I don't have to move it out of the way. It's just there's two wires back here, which is going to be the positive and negative. Well, not negative, but your hot and return. Let me see. I can get you back close to the thing here, but the white and black wires, they're going to be really short on this one in this case. So that's probably as far as I can pull it out. And let's see what I can do here. My soldering iron has been on for a while already, so it should be ready to go. Now, as far as the speaker, there's no way you can remove the speaker. You just got to let it sort of dangle. Again, just basically trying to strategize how I'm going to get these caps off. Ow. See? They can be a pain in the ass. I just cut myself. Alright, so we're back. I had to kind of take care of my cut. When pulling it, the really sharp points on the ends of these caps and resistors and all that stuff, it cut me pretty good. Again, it's up to you if you're going to take a challenge and do it yourself, but we're going to go ahead and get started now. We're going to remove the first one that's easy, which is going to be the 1000 microfarads and 35 volt cap, which is going to be this one right here. Let me get you a close up on that. It's going to be this one right here where my finger's at. That's the one we're going to replace first because that's the easiest one at this point. The ones further down, we'll get that here in a few minutes, but we're going to replace this one first and go from there, from that point. This one's pretty easy. You got just the backside, two solder joints right there. Oh, I guess we're picking up, more tools as we go on. In order to chop those things out, especially the long leads, I use basically a nail clipper. Works out great. You don't have to use a wire cutter. Wire cutter seems to be, it's too bulky for me. Nail clipper, you can buy the small ones, and it works perfect. So, go from there. We'll get this thing taken care of, and let's go ahead and desolder it real quick. And a lot of people think, like, oh, why don't you just get a desoldering gun? Well, the thing is, I've tried desoldering guns, and for me, it just they don't work out very well. So, we'll check it out real quick as we take care of this right here. Of course, make sure it's always unplugged. Again, I showed you earlier it was unplugged. So let's go ahead and get started on this here. And last time I used basically like a torch style soldering gun. That soldering gun is no longer any good, so it broke on me. But I had this laying around, and it works just as great, especially if you let it heat up. It works pretty doggone quick. And as you can see, I'm pulling it straight out, one hole at a time or one point at a time, and boom, look at that. Now, I pulled it out straight out. I didn't turn it, I didn't twist it. The reason why I didn't twist and turn it, because you got to make sure you position this cap in the right orientation. Or you're saying to yourself, well, how do you do that? Well, if you look at the cap, there's a white mark on this side. You got to make sure that white mark, it's kind of hard to see because I don't have much lighting in this room as I did before. That white mark needs to go in the same position as it came out before. Now, I'm going to set this down exactly in the same position as this one. If you look inside here, you can see how there's one side it's white and one side is clear, or the board color. The side that it's white, you need to put where that white mark is, you need to orientate it at that one position. If you don't, you can do bad things. It can short circuit, it can do many bad things, but you always got to make sure you orientate it in the right direction. Now again, the white mark on the cap needs to follow where the white paint is at. Where it's clear or board color, that's basically just white's the other side, I should say. But yeah, white mark always goes toward the white painted side. So that being said, this is the old one and this is the new one. Again, these are the Capcom shippy ass caps. These are the good stuff. I don't even know, again, Leon, I don't even know. And it's actually a lot smaller too. I was kind of debating if I got the right one, but no, I did get the right cap because it's so much shorter. And we're like, oh my God, you got the wrong one. No, it's the right specs. I verified it before I picked them up. This was 1,000 microfarads at 35 volts. This was the same thing, 1,000 microfarads at 35 volts. So, or 1,000 UF. Again, I'm assuming that's microfarads because I think U is just strictly U or F is farads. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm saying it right. UF means microfarads. F means farads. So microfarads is probably, or big farads are probably the big monster caps. Those are the big, like say for your car stereos, those are farads, like 1,000 farads. These are macros because they're so small. But yes, these are, I'm not sure if you can look at this label, what mark it is, but these are, I haven't had any issues with these branded style. If I can get in and focus. There we go. If you know what that brand is, good, because I can't freaking pronounce it, but these caps have good reliability as far as the parts I replaced it with. So, that being said, we're going to put this in there. Oh, yeah. Since we got some blob of... Oops, got to roll that back over there. We got a couple of blobs of solder that I got to get out of there. So, we'll bust out this core here. And get a new... braid. And this one... Let me see if I can show you before and after, because this actually works really awesome. I've tried it. I've tried it in other electronics before, and it worked great. So, as you can see, let's see if we can get this into focus. These right here, where my finger's at, you can see there's a couple of blobs of solder there, and we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna actually remove that, because you know you always have a problem when you're trying to put a resistor or cap in there, and you try to fit it through the hole. And you got to kind of heat the soldering gun, make the solder move out of the way when you push it in. In this case, you don't have to do that. You use this copper wire, and it absorbs the actual solder. And I'll show you before and after here. Like I said, it comes in really handy. Look at that. No more blob. You can see straight through the hole. It picks up all the residue of the previous solder. Now we're ready to put this in there, the new cap. Make sure orientate it the right direction. Verify. Always double check. Yes, it's on the stripe. In she goes. And to keep it in there, especially when you solder, if you let go of this cap, it's just going to fall straight down. So what you can do is just bend it opposite directions, and it'll keep it in steady. And then there, you get your new solder. And you solder the new stuff in there. Look at that, beautiful. Show you that real quick. Nice solder on that joint there. Whoops, going the wrong way. Trying to blind you guys now. But yeah, nice clean solder. So that's the first cap. Remember, there's 3 caps you gotta replace, 2 of the small ones and then this big one on each speaker. So again, toenail clippers or nail clippers. Cut the ends off. And what I mean by clean cuts on that, look at that. See, you can't even tell. Oh yeah. So, okay. Now comes the hard part. Getting the ones that are further back inside. Remember, there's 2 of those caps in there that tend to break. Or not break, but I should say pop or whatever. again, it's going to be a pain in the butt to get it out of there. So this is going to be speed up a little bit. It's going to be kind of hard to tell you what you need to do. I know it's discouraging, but you just got to take your time and do one cap at a time. Now, what I'm going to do, and what doesn't help also too, if you really look at it, is the fact they use like some kind of goop to keep the caps in place as they solder it. That doesn't help. You got to really dig in there and break some of that stuff apart. So I might pause the video and then we'll get started on this. Alright, we're back. I just wanted to get some more lighting in here because, again, it's going to be kind of difficult to try to see this and go from there. So you might see my big fat head moving it into the camera, but that's just because I'm trying to look into here, see what I can do. But they definitely put a little bit of goop on this one. I'm going to try with the first cap here. Again, the caps are way, well, not way down there, but those are the caps you need to grab off. And of course, no lighting. It doesn't help. We have no lighting, but there they are right there. Well, not those, sorry. Right next to this cable. Right next to the cable. You got two caps. So those caps you need to replace. Those are the caps that go out. Yeah. Thanks, Logitech. So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. You said I'm going to have to do this one cap at a time. And I'm using the finger I just cut to try to get it out. Let's see here. Can I heat both of them at the same time? Huzzah! One. Just one. What I'm going to do now is try to desolder this stuff. So that way, when I go in with a new cap, I shouldn't have any issues. Finally. Jeez, that took forever. Okay, now I gotta look in here. I'm gonna go and pull out that second one now that I got some room to get my fingers in there. So let's go and try to get that sucker out. There it goes. Second one. Now we got these two out. Again, there's no telltale signs that these actually gave out. Usually in these caps, the top of the domes will be kind of bloated or busted open. There's basically nothing here to let you know these caps are dead. So yeah. Now I'm going to clean up these terminals over here, get the solder off, put the new caps on there, and then plug it in, and we'll be good to go on this one, this speaker. Of course, this is speaker 1 of 2, so one speaker, all you need to do is see me do is one. So the other one, that should be fairly easy to, well, not fairly easy. You get the drift. want to clean this. I know it's kind of weird thing doing it like this, but that's all I can do right now at this point. Next to this stuff works wonders. Earlier it took a little longer because it was just the wrong position, but now I find the right position. And like I said, it sucks up the solder pretty good. Get you a nice focused. But see, it does clean up pretty good. Takes up the solder, sucks it up. And we don't have too much blob of solder when you go in there. And also the hose are cleaned up, so you just slide them right in, and you don't have to worry about it much. So let's go and get started with the brand new caps. Again, you got to orientate them right. The black stripe. I know I said white stripe on this one, and then now it's black on this one. Well, just got to make sure there is a stripe on a cap, and it could be either white, depending on the cap, it's a full color black, and then it'll have a white stripe, or like in this case, it's a full green cap with a black stripe. Doesn't matter. It's stripe. Stripe goes wherever the colored or painted portion of this is. Like your cap can be black, like the original ones can be black, and then have a white stripe, like these Capcom ones, XC Capcom, whatever the fuck you call them. And then this one's a full green cap with a black stripe. Doesn't matter. So the same stripe. It's got to be oriented where the position where this one is. And as you can see, this one, you can't really see it with the camera, but basically the white painted is facing at the 12 o'clock position if you're looking at it straight up like that. So you got to make sure you're oriented the right way. And in most cases, also the striped end will have a shorter, basically a shorter, if you can see it there, shorter lead will have the stripe on it. So you got to make sure you're oriented that way. And I'm about to get this started here. Luckily, I cleaned the hose out, so I just slide right in. Of course, it doesn't help. There's no lighting. There you go. Now that'll slid right in. And so it doesn't slide out. Bend the tab there. Bend it back that way, so that way it stays in place. I'm going to go and get this one first. And then I'll get the second one in. I just want to make sure, again, make sure it's oriented the right way. Yes, it is. Always double check your work. That's one thing with these contacts. It got really thin spaces. You got to make sure you got a gap between it, because if you don't, it will short circuit, and don't want that. No sir, no sirree, don't want that at all. What I'm doing is just get a little razor and just make sure that it's got a proper gap in between there, because again, don't want a short circuit. That would end up being pretty bad. Now that these are ready, I can cut them up. Okay. care of that. One down, one more to go. Get a little parts bag here. Just make sure you're orientated the right way. This one's going to be a little bit difficult just because it's got the stupid wires from the Wi-Fi. The power supply wires is going into the Wi-Fi supply. So I got to just make sure I get this in there just enough so I can get it in there. Easy as pie. Look at that. Not to say making pie is easy. I never made pie. Maybe one day I'll make pie. Never know. Alright, so we're back. I had to put a fresh new battery in the camera. I was running a battery on the other one. I have two batteries for it. So, as you see, I already got the leads here. I just got to solder them together. And we'll just get started on that. Try not to blob it like it did the first time. Oop, shoot. Ready. Let's get this in there. Perfect. That's good. That was a lot better, faster than the other one. But sure enough. Yep, it looked good. Clean the tip out real quick. Just make sure there's no contact between. Get my better flashlight. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That is perfecto. Now, just gotta cut the leads off. And that's it. I'm actually gonna use the pick just to make sure there's a gap between the actual caps here. Yep, there's a gap. And there's a clean gap there too. Excellent. Just removing any kind of residue that's in there. Solder. And then before that pretty much takes care of this setup here, but I'm gonna get a blowgun and blow any debris that may have got in there. And to finish up, put that away over here. This basically slides in two little areas here. Don't cut yourself like I did. Yeah, it wasn't fun. See here, slide it in, slides right in, boom. And then at this point we can power it on and verify our repair. Like I said, we double checked our work. Matter of fact, I'm gonna double check one more time. Actually, I'm gonna slide this out. Actually, I can see from here, yeah, both stripes are up the way it should be. That one's the way it should be. You got 3 caps replaced on this one. Remember the 2 of the small ones and 1 big one. And as soon as you power it up, should be, theoretically, solid red on. Oh yeah, we're rocking now. Of course, there's no way I can test this to make sure the actual speaker powers up, all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, solid red on. Oop, yep, there. Yeah, you can definitely see it. Solid red on, ready to go. You may see it little, being that it's LED, you might see it flickering, but that's just because it's LED. Usually LEDs flicker like that if you get too close. But it's solid on with a naked eye. Putting this back together, just reverse the process. Put the cover back on this. 4 screws, put the windscreen back on, and you're set to rock. So that's what it takes to replace these caps. I know it seems kind of intimidating. It really is. I mean, I even cut myself on this job. But super glue, if you get yourself a cut, especially if it's a small light cut and it's just bleeding a little bit, just put some super glue on it. You'll be good to go. Other than that, you're set. This speaker is ready to be shipped out. I still got to do the other one. Once I get the other one out, this customer is going to be happy. Again, if you want me to repair these speakers, I can definitely do it. Again, $80. That's parts and labor to replace the caps on these speakers. That's 3 caps on to replace, the 2 small ones and 1 big one. You have to pay for shipping. I will not pay for the shipping. I don't like paying for shipping. So you can go with FedEx like this gentleman did. You can go with, I guess, USPS, or you can go UPS. Just make sure you prepay for your return label. That way I can just slap the label on there and you're set to go. It's back to you and I don't have to pay for any additional shipping. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you like my other repair videos or how-to videos. I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Later.